Dried Shitake mushrooms, a secret weapon for winter wellness. That's something I'm going to talk about today, so stick around. Hi, my name is Sachiaki Takamiya. I am the author of the Ikigai Diet and Ikigai Bio-Hacking. Okay, so winter is approaching now. Now, I'm kind of looking forward to it because, I enjoy every season. There's certain things I can do in winter. Yeah. Well, number one, Christmas is coming soon, so that's really great. But also in the winter time, I can do some winter sports. I don't go skiing so much, but I can kind of go Nordic walking on snow, and that is very exciting. Right. And there is one food I recommend that you eat in winter. Yeah, and that is dried shiitake mushrooms. Right. So you know shiitake mushrooms, right? I mean, do you eat shiitake mushrooms regularly? Yeah, they are great food. Yeah, it's the superfood. It's one of the best Japanese superfood too. Yeah, so shiitake is wonderful. But when they are dry, it has further benefit, and it is especially good for winter. Yeah, because it contains a lot more vitamin D. Yeah. So in the winter time, yeah, usually you have a less absorption of vitamin D because sunlight is weaker, plus the time to expose yourself to sunlight is shorter, right? Even though you spend a lot of time outdoor, it is more difficult than other season. And if you live in a very cold area with a long winter and so on, then yeah, it is critical to gain vitamin D from food. And dried shiitake mushrooms are one of the foods that contain high amount of vitamin D. Yeah. Now, so let's compare the dry shiitake mushrooms vitamin D content with regular fresh shiitake mushrooms. Right. So dry shiitake mushroom contains 17 microgram per 100 grams, while regular fresh shiitake mushrooms 0.4. 0.4. However, usually we eat rehydrated dry shiitake mushrooms. Yeah, you kind of hydrate the mushrooms again, yeah, in the water. So that kind of reduces the amount a bit. It's a 4.3 micrograms. But still, that is about 10 times as much as fresh shiitake mushrooms. Yeah. And then when you look at the dietary fiber, dehydrated dried shiitake mushroom, 11.7 gram, while fresh shiitake mushroom, 5.5 gram, so twice as much. Yeah. So for the vitamin D, 10 times as much, and fiber, twice as much. Yeah. You have increased benefit in dried shiitake mushrooms. Right. Now, so why vitamin D matter, right? So let's look at the benefit of vitamin D. Now, getting enough vitamin D helps the growth and development of bones and teeth. It may also provide improved resistance to certain diseases. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin in a family of compounds that includes vitamins D1, D2, and D3. Your body produces vitamin D naturally when it's directly exposed to sunlight. Yeah. So usually you can get it from the sunlight exposure. So if you practice morning sunlight exposure or evening sunlight exposure, usually you absorb a lot of vitamin D. Or when you do gardening, the one that I shared with you in the last video, gardening is very, very, very beneficial for this reason too. You absorb a lot of sunlight. Yeah, so you get plenty of vitamin D. Yeah. However, as I said, in the wintertime, you don't absorb as much vitamin D from sunlight than other season. Yeah. And then you can also get vitamin D from certain foods and supplements to ensure adequate levels of vitamin in your blood. Yeah. Now, you know that I'm not so much, in favor of supplements in general. I'm not saying you shouldn't take supplements, but, I would look for other means, especially from food sources, before, going to the path of supplements. So dried shiitake mushrooms are one of the natural. It's almost like a natural supplement, really. Yeah. So it's great if you want to avoid regular supplements. And then vitamin D has several important functions. Perhaps the most vital are regulating absorption of calcium and uh, phosphorus and facilitating normal immune system function. Yeah. Getting enough vitamin D is important for typical growth and development of bones and teeth, as well as improved resistance to certain diseases. Yeah. So, yeah, if you want to develop bones, it is critical. So, I talk about natto, right? Because natto contains vitamin K2, which can support your bone health. And of course, you need calcium to develop your bone. But then another key nutrient is vitamin D. So if you have vitamin K2, vitamin D, and calcium, that support your bone health tremendously. So if you think about that, dry shiitake mushroom is another like a superfood you want to add. Yeah. And then vitamin D may regulate mood and reduce depression. So that is critical in winter because you often get more depressed in winter than other seasons, right? I don't get depressed in winter because I enjoy winter. Yeah, but some people do. Generally speaking, it is true because it's darker, it's colder. Yeah. Um, and also, in the Oriental medicine, winter represents kidney and bladder, and that is tied to, depression and sadness and so on. So it is true. Therefore, definitely dry shiitake mushrooms in winter. And also, vitamin D might support weight loss, right? Okay, now, so you understand how critical vitamin D is. However, there are other food sources that has high amount of vitamin D, such as fish, like salmon, mackerel, sardines are known for having high amount of vitamin D. Sure, I mean, you can eat them. That's okay. But if you practice a plant-based diet, then you want to look for plant-based sources. And then shiitake is the one. Dried shiitake mushrooms are your go-to plant-based vitamin D food source. Okay. Now, and let's look at the nutrition profile of shiitake mushrooms. Yeah. So this is actually dried shiitake. Yeah. So it's a nutrition profile of dried shiitake mushrooms. Um, so calories 44, carbs 11 grams, fiber 2 grams, protein 1 gram, um, riboflavin riboflavin, 11% of the daily value, niacin, 11% of the DV, copper, 39% of the DV, vitamin B5, 33% of the DV, and selenium, 10% of the DV, and manganese, 9% of the DV, zinc, 8% of the DV, vitamin B6, 7% of the DV, and folate, 6% of the DB, and vitamin D, 6% of the DB. In addition, shiitake contains many of the same amino acids as meat, right? So shiitake is a nutritional dense food, yeah? And that is why it is considered to be one of the best superfoods, right? And it is part of Mago wa Yasashi that I often talk about. So this is a basic principle in the Japanese natural food dietary culture. Yeah. So Mago wa Yasashi means ma, beans, go, nuts and seed, wa, seaweed, ya, vegetables, sa, fish, and si, mushrooms, and e, potatoes. Yeah. So when you think of your menu, try to include these ingredients as much as possible. They are fiber-rich ingredients. Yeah, plus grains. I also recommend grains. So recently, I actually call Mago Ayasashi Ko, including grains. But originally, when this term was made, it was called Mago Ayasashi. It didn't include grains. Yeah. So I put Mago Ayasashi plus grains. Right. Okay. For more details about Mango and Asashi, please read my book, The Ikigai Diet. And the book also contains other useful information about Japanese natural food dietary culture, such as 一物全体食、一汁三菜、新土富士、and Hare and K. Okay, thank you for watching. Again, my name is Sachiaki Takamiya. I am the author of the Ikigai Diet and Ikigai Bio-Hacking. If you like this video, please give me your thumb up and subscribe to my channel. And please leave your comment. Do you eat Shitake mushrooms regularly? And have you ever tried dried Shitake mushrooms? Thank you. Well, I'll see you in the next video. Live with your Ikigai!